1975 was the peak of Led Zeppelin's fame and status as the biggest band in the world. 1976 was the drop-off. This is my series where I'm talking about every single Led Zeppelin album in chronological order. And in this video, we're getting into the beginning of the end. The album that I feel like everybody forgets about when they're talking about the Zeppelin discography. 1976's Presence. Robert Plant had been pretty severely injured in a car accident with his family in Greece in August 1975, and the second leg of their American tour had to be cancelled. The band were also living in tax exile from the UK at the time to avoid the high tax rates that the country had for high earners. They were in Malibu. Robert was in a wheelchair, homesick. Jimmy was struggling very hard with his addictions. Bonham's alcoholism was getting out of control, and John Paul Jones was increasingly disconnected. Robert and Jimmy started working on the songs for the following album, but there was a notable change in tone. This was not their sweet little country house in Wales. Recording was rushed. They were once again recording in the same space as the Stones. I had no idea how close Zepp and the Stones were in the 70s, but apparently they were very tight, which I guess kind of makes sense when you consider the groupie stories that heavily feature both Mick Jagger and Jimmy Page. I think I have to do a groupie video after this one. Because Robert Plant wasn't able really to help with the production due to his injured state, he had done all of the vocals for this album sitting in a wheelchair. Jimmy took the lead on the creative direction, sometimes spending 14 to 18 hours at a time in the studio. Achilles' Last Stand is the biggest and most well-known song from the album, and it's as killer as ever. It's got Bonham's insane drumming, and Jimmy Page reinvented his signature ethereal guitar sound. The same year, the band decided to release the compiled footage from their 1973 tour and some behind-the-scenes clips of the band. The Song Remains the Same would become the most recognized footage of Robert and his young son Carrick, who would pass away suddenly the following year from a stomach infection. The soundtrack of the documentary ended up overshadowing Presence overall, which contributed to it being their lowest selling album of their career, despite it hitting #1 on the charts. 1976 was a tough year for Led Zeppelin, but they had absolutely no idea how tough it was about to get in 1977.